Hey there, listeners. Welcome to Hines on Air, your weekly dose of inspiration, motivation, and real-life entrepreneurial stories. I'm Matt Hines, your host, and I'm excited to have you join me on this journey. From building a successful law firm to venturing into other industries like real estate and social media, I've experienced both the triumphs and the challenges that come with entrepreneurship. I've learned firsthand the importance of resilience, adaptability, and a relentless pursuit of excellence. On Hines on Air, we're diving deep into the world of business, law, and personal growth. Join me as I chat with incredible guests who have faced adversity, defied expectations, and achieved extraordinary success. We'll discuss their strategies, their mindset, and the lessons they've learned along the way. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur, a seasoned business owner, or simply someone looking for a little inspiration, Hines on Air is for you. Remember to subscribe, like, and leave a review whenever you listen to podcasts. Your support helps us reach more people and continue sharing these incredible stories. Let's get started. This program is being sponsored by Law Offices of Matthew C. Hines. The Law Offices of Matthew C. Hines helped all individuals who have been involved in a car accident, who have been injured at work, or have been arrested or given tickets. We make sure your rights are protected and that you receive all the benefits allowed under the law. Visit us at www.hineslaw.org, hineslaw.org. Hey everybody, it is Matt Hines. We're back at you with another Hines on Air. We got a little bit of a different setup today. We've moved offices. We've got the new room being created as we speak, so look forward to that. But today, we have a podcast for you, and in my opinion, this is one of the most important podcasts that we've ever done. I mean, it's very important information. Every parent on planet, or certainly in the United States, needs this information. Any couples thinking about having children needs this information. This is stuff that needs to be taught to everybody who's going to have children in the school system, because it's a serious matter that has been going on way too long and needs much more attention and much more action. And our guest today, Miss Barbie Rivera, is one of the leaders in this entire area who is transforming things for the better, protecting children's rights, protecting parents' rights. So we're going to hear her story and also hear about everything she's gone through to make our school system better. So without further ado, I welcome Miss Barbie to the program. Welcome, Barbie.
Thank you.
All right, cool. So Barbie, tell us a little bit about yourself. You're down in Miami. Just give us a brief glimpse into your school and what you're up to.
Okay, well, I'm a Cincinnati girl, and I moved to Miami when I was 18, because that's what you did back in the day, is you turned 18 and you left home. So I went to Miami. I have 4 children, and I thought I wanted 8. I wanted a huge family.
Yeah.
And I was under the delusion that the school system was similar to what I grew up in. I think I was in kindergarten in maybe 1969. So when my first son, or first grade, 1970, when my oldest son went to school, I thought, oh, they're going to love him. He speaks 2 languages. He's very respectful. He doesn't throw a fit. He doesn't complain. He's not a whiner. He's very creative, very alert, very much wants to learn. And the exact opposite, the opposite of what I thought would happen, completely the opposite occurred. And it was the second Friday of school that the teacher pulled me aside and said that my son was mentally handicapped. Those are her words. Mentally handicapped, and would most likely need a lifelong prescription for psychotropic medication so that he could learn. And I'm like, this is crazy, because if we're targeting my son, who has a story read to him every day, who was, it's like 7 o'clock bedtime, or 7 o'clock shower, 7:30 snack, 8 o'clock bedtime, 8:15 stories over, night, kiss. I felt I was a decent mother, like to all of my children. Anyway, if we target him, then we are lost as a country.
No.
Because there are so many children that don't get the benefit that he has, but yet he was mentally handicapped and in need of psychotropic medication.
Barbie, let me ask real quick, what exactly was he doing that made them say something like that? Because I think other parents go through this.
The first thing was he couldn't read. I'm like, but that's why he's going to school. He also can't drive a car.
Right.
He can't hold a job. He's 6. So where is that line? Like, should I be panicking that I don't have a venue for his wedding and I don't know what I'm going to wear? I'm like, what are we doing here? He's 6. He's going to school to learn to read. But yet they expected him to write book report. He was getting homework right off the bat, which in the 1969 first grade, you didn't get homework.
Right.
My principal and teacher would have laughed in your face to give a 6-year-old homework. It just wasn't done. Anyway, so he was given homework. He was expected to write book reports before he could read, before he could write. So first of all, he wasn't reading. So that was the first red flag. Second of all, he confused the D and the B. And I'm like, well, they look alike. Oh, but he confuses the 6 and the 9. I go, they look alike. He needs practice. It's like, I think that most parents know that when their children, they grow up and they grow out of things.
Yeah.
Like when they start putting their own shoes on, they put the left shoe on the right foot. Like, it's confused, but that doesn't mean that's a lifelong condition. That means that they need to learn that. And when they're 1 year old and they get your car keys, they're going to stick them in their mouth. When they're 16, they know what to do with car keys. They're going to grow out of that. Anyway, his situation was determined that he was a non-reader for life. He was a confused student for life. And I'm like, I disagree. 100% I disagree with you.
Well, okay. Yeah, I remember you made me think of something. I used to be a big Picasso fan. And Picasso would look at a 7 and see a nose. Like, that was just how he worked. The Picasso was one of the most brilliant people I think's ever existed. So I could imagine trying to put that child on drugs because he wanted to see a nose and not a 7, because they were dreaming up some sort of a mental condition for him. Would have suppressed such talent if they'd have just drugged that child. But anyway, okay. So they're coming at you. They're giving you this sort of nonsense, so what they want you to do when they said
they wanted me to have him evaluated, which was 5 people. He had to go through a series of 5 experts, and they were going to determine what was right for him, and then ultimately a psychiatric drug was going to be given to him. And I'm like, does that teach anybody to read? I'm like, I don't know anything about computers. If my computer, like, I'm not a technical person at all. And to be honest with you, I think I once replaced a toaster that wasn't working. I went to Target, got a new one because it wasn't working, and it wasn't plugged in. I just didn't know it wasn't plugged in. So I'm not that technical. So now to say, oh, she's stupid with technical, let's give her drugs, that's not going to make me understand how to code or how a microwave works. I don't care. It's not my strong point, right? I'm an artist. I do care about that. And I know things and I can create things that some people can't. Like you say, you see a number 7, I might see a nose.
Right. Okay.
But you were trying to, I don't understand what they were trying to do other than shut him down.
Right. Okay. So did you do I said this in the beginning, all parents should know this because a lot of parents are hit with this, and it's probably scary because you don't know who to trust. Are these teachers full of it? Are they decent? Do they really want what's best for your child? Are they working with the drug companies? Like, what is the intention behind all? And we're going to dig it out, but I hope the parents listen to what you're saying, because when they're in that situation and somebody's saying, we think your child has problems, we think your child can't read, we think your child is learning disabled, we think blah, blah, blah is BS, like, who do you trust? So anyway, we're going to provide some guidance in that area, but I'll let you keep going. So they recommended you see these 5 experts, quote unquote. And what happened?
Well, I refused.
Okay.
I go, you're not gonna evaluate him. You're not gonna talk to him privately. I don't give my consent, et cetera, et cetera. And the thing, Matt, like, I made a mistake that honestly I've completely atoned for. But I will never get over what I didn't do, actually. I kept him in school. I was pregnant with number 4, I guess he was going to get labeled in August, September. That's when I got the news. My youngest son was due in November. And I'm like, there's no way I can homeschool. I have a 3-year-old, I have a 1-year-old, and I'm pregnant. It's like, that's a lot.
Yeah,
It's a lot. Even if my son was doing well in school, that's a lot, right? 4 kids under the age of 6.
No doubt.
So I kept him in school and I did the good mom thing. I helped him with his homework every night. And I feel like I was spoon feeding him the poison because the lessons weren't at his level. They had him doing fractions and division. I'm like, what are we doing? He's in 1st grade. And again, I'm comparing to my public school education, which kindergarten to 5th grade, loved it. It was a whole different thing. 3rd grade, we did multiplication and division the whole year. That's all we did. 1st grade was counting, and you were getting used to writing numbers. It was a low gradient, if you will. Like it wasn't this advanced thing. And we're doing algebraic equations in the 1st grade. Look how smart the American children are. I'm like, well, the test scores and the drug companies are making a mint off of how confused the American children are under this system.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I kept my son in school. And by the end of 1st grade, my 6-year-old had learned one thing in public school, that he was stupid. And those were his words. I would never use those words. But throughout the year, I saw his vibrancy. A 6-year-old is vibrant.
Yeah.
They should be. They should be looking, and I raised them with Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, Halloween, trick-or-treating. We did all of that. And to me, that's also the fun of being a parent.
Right.
Is you get to create that environment. And when your child takes the first steps, man, do you feel great about that? And when your child says their first words, you feel so good. Or when they hit their first home run, man, you're right there with them. You're so proud of them. So my son just hit a decline. And by June of that year, the end of 1st grade, he's like, Mom, I'm stupid. And that was like a knife through my heart. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I'm not helping him by sitting with him 3 hours a night doing homework when my other children want me to play blocks. They want me on Candyland. They want me to go for a walk with the stroller. They want to count leaves or whatever you do with children at that age. They're all little.
Mm-hmm.
But here I am stuck at a table being the good mom. And thank God I couldn't afford a tutor because that would have been a whole other nightmare. And that's what I think people do. And one thing that kind of shocks me now, like my kids are all in their 30s. My oldest one is 40 now. But my friends who have grandchildren that are 4, 5, and 6, the number of them that go to therapy, they need occupational therapy. They need speech therapy. I'm like, what the hell is happening? Occupational therapy. And it's because they've been put on devices all day. I'm like, give them a sandbox, a truck, and some shovels. Give them some crayons. Make them physically active. Enroll them in basketball, baseball, gymnastics. They don't need a therapist. And I'm not saying all of them don't, but the majority. But the majority of my friends with grandkids, 1 for 1. The 3-year-old sees a speech therapist. I'm like, how many speeches is this 3-year-old giving that he has to have a speech therapist? Oh, he pronounces the R's like S's. I'm like, right. He also can't drive a car. Like, what are we doing here?
All right. So how did this take you from being the parent sort of guiding all the kids to starting what you did with Help Miami? Like, can you take us through that transition?
Yes. Okay. So like I said earlier, I'm an artist. I had 4 children. So I had, it's like my art supplies were in a closet somewhere. Sometimes I'd get them out. Sometimes somebody would commission me to do a piece of work, which I would have to do midnight when all the kids were asleep. And that's really was my passion. And then when I saw Damon hit this decline, and I'm like, okay, I need to do something. And it was like, it wasn't the easiest thing. Like if you find out that the city you live in is making your child sick and you need to go to Arizona where it's drier, how fast do you start selling your house and moving things. You know what I'm saying? It's an inconvenience, but how fast? So I'm like, forget the art right now. Instead of creating on canvas, I'm going to put my energy into creating a homeschool. So I started off homeschooling. Now, my apartment at the time, I lived in a little duplex. It was maybe 600 square feet. I had bunk beds going right up the wall with a crib. You know, it was small. So I got rid of my living room furniture, moved it to the sun porch, and I turned the main part of the house into a classroom. And I told my friends, hey, I'm doing the second grade in kindergarten. My daughter was 4, and Damon was turning 7. He was going into second grade with extremely weak skills, but I wasn't going to take second grade from him. If I would have said he's in kindergarten with his sister, that would have destroyed him. That would have been the final straw. So I only took what I had. My daughter was 4, my son was 7. So I only took 4-year-olds and 7-year-olds. And I ended up with 11 extra kids in my house. And that was the start of making a living. It's not Lamborghini money, but it was money. And I charged parents material fees. They had to bring toilet paper, so I'm not out that. You know, it was like there were fees, and there was a weekly tuition. I built up to having 21 kids in my house. And then around 1999, a woman comes to me, and at Christmas time, her daughter was 10, a very tall 10-year-old. She looked like a supermodel, gorgeous girl, but she looked older than 10. And because she looked older than 10, she looked older than her age, and she was the tallest girl in class, the school kept passing her. So in 4th grade, she had the reading level of a kindergartner. She didn't even know the alphabet. And she couldn't add, subtract, multiply, and divide. And like my son, she checked out. She's like, I'm not doing this. And the mother, being a good mom, told me, she goes, no, on our way to the grocery, I'm drilling her on states and capitals, at home, in between, you know, on commercials. I have flashcards. And I'm like, oh my God, you're going to drive your daughter crazy.
Right.
You know? So she enrolled her daughter, knowing that my now 17-year-old son was going to be her teacher. And I explained to her, I'm like, look, we're going to go back. She's going to learn her alphabet for real. She's going to be using Play-Doh to build words. Like, and it's going to take as long as it takes. That's what she's going to do. In math, we're going to bring her back to just simple addition, subtraction, and we're going to accelerate it quickly. And my son's going to do it. And the woman was like, wow, this is so different. And this was a wealthy woman, and she would tell you, I spent thousands of dollars on the best psychiatrist, the best psychologist, and all they want to do is drug my daughter. And I ask, will those drugs help her read? And they say no, but it'll make her feel better about not being able to read. She goes, I don't want her feeling good about not being able to read. I want her to be mad about not being able to read. I want her to have some desire to read. Anyway, long story short, 6 weeks later, my son, my 17-year-old, no certification at all, had this girl at a 3rd grade reading, writing, and math level, rock solid per standardized test. And the mother was like, okay,
I'm sold.
you can't keep, she goes, I didn't ask for anything. This woman was like, look, my mother just passed, left me an inheritance. Let's take this school and let's put it in a storefront and call it a private school. It was $125,000 because of what my son and I really did for her daughter. And her daughter ended up graduating on time with a 3.4 or 3.6 grade point average, went to college, and is now a parent herself, considering homeschooling when her toddler gets of age.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. So that's how I need another woman with more zeros behind that 125 now to go to the next thing. But that's how that happened. That's how I transitioned from a homeschooler to a private schooler. And when I was with the private school, I only hired people who like were parents or had a passion for children. I've And this is no slant. Okay. I want to make something really clear. I am not anti-teacher. I love teachers. I think that teachers are getting a raw deal because they want to help children. And when they come out of college, they can't.
Yeah.
It's not about running the classroom. My first grade teacher, 1969, had control of her classroom. She knew what she was supposed to teach, and she was allowed to teach it in whatever creative means she had. There were textbooks, there were workbooks, but it was very easy. We had parents that came into the classroom to help. I remember a mother taught me how to write the letter P, and it was excellent. I'm an artist, so I could use that. Like, Barbara, if you can, my mother once gave me this great advice. If I could write the alphabet exactly the way it is, I can draw anything. So I was always very interested in having good handwriting. Because if I had good handwriting to inform the letters and numbers, well, then I can draw anything because it's all lines anyway. Anyway, that's how it was back in the day. So with my private school, I didn't hire certified teachers because the teachers that are coming out of colleges now, and this isn't all of them, the few that I've hired. One girl was in her third year. She was almost 30, in her third year at a university in Miami, Florida International University, in her third year to get a teaching degree. I needed an assistant for kindergarten, which I always usually start my teachers low because I know that I'm going to find holes in their education and we're going to fix it. I'm fine with that. I'll fix it. This university student could not spell the word bird and did not know the difference between a penny, nickel, dime, and quarter. And so, that's shocking.
Yeah, that's sad.
So every day, and I like this girl. Like, if this girl was my daughter, I would be blessed. That's how this human being was.
Yeah.
And for 2 weeks, I sat with her first hour of the day. I'm like, look, I'm going to tutor you on just basics. And at the end of the 2 weeks, she goes, look, you and your staff have been nothing but wonderful to me, but I'm a fraud. I can't teach. I don't even know. I can't even read. So she gave up her teaching goal, which is sad.
Yeah.
And the other teachers that I've tried to hire are similar. Either they're looking at the child, oh, he's ADHD, he's this, he's that, he's that, he's that. I'm like, I don't want to look through that filter.
Right.
I want to look through.
And they're trained that in college to look for that stuff, you think?
Oh, absolutely. One of a friend of mine started the certification to be a teacher. She said the first year in Miami anyway was all about learning disabilities, psychotropic drugs, and how do you navigate that.
Let's get into that, because that's what I want any parent listening to this to be aware of and be sort of mindful of the risk, what their child and what they might get confronted with in the future if they're in public schools or other things. And again, I'm not against public schools, but for the most part, that's where I think it happens more. And that's when the school comes and wants to put your child on drugs, whether it's Ritalin, Adderall, any type of these things to handle ADHD, ADD, all that other crap. If you could tell us, I think I had the pleasure of listening to one of your speeches one time, and you had mentioned how the drug companies would come in and try to work with. Anyway, I'll let you take it from there. What was your experience with that? Okay, so you have to follow the money, right? You have to follow the money. So now that I transitioned from homeschooling into private school, even though I'm a small school, now that I'm a small private school, I'm on mailing list, and I get things from psychiatric youth centers that are running out of New York that invite me to a conference. Oh, the principal's conference. You're going to learn about the latest anxiety treatments for children with anxiety, whatever. And their treatments I talk about. Anyway, one day I had two individuals show up from a drug representatives. Sorry. These are the same type of guys that go to doctors' offices with their briefcase and their pamphlet so that they can put it in the reception
advertising whatever drug that they're pushing at the time. Again, I'm not saying all medication is bad. Like, I've had strep throat, an antibiotic took care of it. Without that, who knows where I'd be. I'm not anti-doctor.
Right.
I am anti-fraud, though, and I am anti-harm. So these two individuals, they had an ADHD drug. Now, these ADHD drugs, they're classified, many of them are classified as CNS medication, central nervous system, because they alter the central nervous system. And I'm like, well, that's scary.
That's your spine and your brain, right?
It's your spine and your brain.
You're kind of important.
They give these drugs to 4-year-olds before their baby teeth fall out. I'm like, that is good. That you might not be able to get that child back once the damage is done. Like CNS medication, it's attacking the central nervous system. And what it's doing is it's suppressing the child. Oh, he's hyperactive. Well, hyperactive isn't a term that I grew up with. Of course, children were more active than their parents. Like, I tell this story, my parents didn't get matching furniture until all 5 of us moved out of the house because we would leap over the sofa and play baseball in the dining room. We were crazy, but that's how it was. A quiet house was a dangerous house. A noisy house was how it went.
Yeah.
Anyway, so these drug representatives, they offered me to participate. They wanted my participation in a drug study. And they were going to wherever there's children. Now, that's another thing parents need to look at. They were going to libraries. They were going to the parks and recreations where kids go after school to play soccer and baseball. They were going to charter school, private schools, Christian schools, public schools. Wherever there are children, they would find the person in charge, daycares and preschools too. They find the person in charge, and that person runs the drug study within their organization. There was 3 levels of participation. The first level was for every name, address, and phone number I gave to the drug study, I could get $100. It could go to the school or it could go to me. Now, and the one girl, I'm like, these people are so freaking smug. You could really just give us your Christmas list. Like, you don't have to limit it. So, Matt, if I had your address, I could add that to this list. The drug company would send you promotion and I get $100. And they were thrilled that you could cheat the system, not just do your students, but do your whole Christmas list. People I send Christmas cards to. Ridiculous. Right. Second level of participation, they gave me a checklist with 30 items on it. If I do a mental health checklist on a child and I submit it with name, address, and phone number, I could get $500. But Matt, if I sit with you and get you to put your son or daughter on this experimental drug, I get $5,000 for every child that goes on that drug. And that is called legal drug dealing. We're targeting children to the greed of the person in charge. That's the way I see it. And I refuse. I'm like, I'm not participating. And then the guy on the team, it was a man and a woman. Well, you would be the only South Florida educator to refuse the money. And let's face it, Barbara, your school is small and ugly. I'm like, well, let's face it, sir. I live in Miami. If I want to get drug money, I'll find a cocaine dealer on Craigslist. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's ridiculous. And that's the pressure. And then I did some speech somewhere, and a journalist, maybe I did a podcast, and a journalist in Miami listened to it. So the journalist went to Florida International University, which is where this drug study was coming from, and talked to the lead psychiatrist who was funded, last I checked 2 years ago, $94 million to do drug studies on 13 different studies, right? And he denied, he said I was wrong, that they never offer money. So I sent this journalist a picture of a bulletin board that says gift cards in exchange for participation and a write-up that had the FIU Children and Family Center, what teachers may be compensated for. I'm like, what is that? And then the guy went legal. He wouldn't talk to the journalist anymore. He also wouldn't answer the journalist questions. Like, I understand Miss Rivera is wrong. What is she wrong about? And he wouldn't answer the question.
What do you mean he went legal? Did he file like a suit or
No,
anything?
he said that he won't have any more conversation with the journalist, that they had to contact the Florida International University's legal team.
Okay.
Like, they had to go through the lawyers.
I got it.
And I'm like, come on. It's on your bulletin boards. At least, come on, say what you're doing. And you can go on their website and you can see exactly how much they're funded for. And you can see the ridiculous presentations that they put together that I'm like, really? You spent how many hundreds of thousands of dollars to get a certificate and this is the best you can do? Like, they just blatantly on one presentation that they did to teachers, and again, they took a presentation about ADHD and they go to schools, they go to aftercares and on, wherever there's children. And one of my former graduates was a counselor at an aftercare program, like would sit and help kids with homework from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock until they were picked up. And she goes, yeah, we did this thing for, we had to do it as part of our job. And like one of the slides said, proven ineffective actions to handle ADHD, chiropractics, elimination diets, like getting rid of sugar. And they just say this blatantly, like this has been proven.
Right.
So my student, I'm so proud of her because she's a true trooper, raises her hands like, what was the study that proves it? And the person didn't have an answer for her. The next slide said, proven to help with ADHD symptoms, behavior modification, and medication. And so, again, on this show, I attacked that point. I even showed the slides. So now you go onto the FIU website and it says this. It's so stupid. Ineffective for ADHD, chiropractics, karate, hundreds of studies. And I'm like, okay, they're still not naming anything. Effective measures to treat ADHD, behavior modification, and medication.
Of course.
Hundreds of studies. I'm like, cite one.
Barbie, in all of your research and time into this, I know you're not a doctor or anything, but your opinion is important. I would consider you an expert in this field. What to the people is the acronym ADHD is everywhere. It's all over magazines. It's all over commercials. What is that in your opinion? Can you comment on that?
I think it's a lie. I think that, and again, there are children with issues.
Right.
I'm in medical, physical, mental. There are.
Yeah.
There are children who don't speak. But that's not ADHD. But this hyperactive, to me, what has happened is the psychiatric community decided that there's a huge population that they're not making money on. So they have turned normal childhood behavior and made it a psychiatric disorder. And they've infiltrated society so much that the parents just repeat it like a parrot. Because I'll tell you, when I tell somebody, almost 100% of the times, I tell somebody my son was going to, one of the reasons my son was going to get labeled is he confuses the B and the D. Instantly, a parent, he was dyslexic. I'm like, stop with the nonsense. He wasn't. But yet they know they have this diagnosis. They know because it's just been infiltrated into society.
Yeah.
And I counter that with, like, if I go to my dentist with my child and I say, hey, my child needs a root canal, that dentist isn't going to listen to me. That dentist is going to look and do his x-rays and he's going to decide what has to happen. Right? But with these ADHD and childhood learning disabilities, it's all done by checklist. And I have an issue with that because the checklists are one-sided. It's the teacher and the parent. And I've had students that were placed on drugs because the parents said that the student wouldn't do chores at home. I'm like, what? That doesn't make sense.
What's so scary, though, this is not a mild drug. It's not like they're putting them on vitamin C or something.
Oh, no.
They're putting them on serious drugs that are comparable to cocaine and meth, right? This program is being sponsored by Bravos Leadership. Bravos Leadership is dedicated to helping entrepreneurs and other business-minded people achieve their goals in business and expand their companies. They provide insight through motivational talks, inspirational stories, but also practical applications of management techniques that you can use to help you grow your company. Information regarding sales, organization, management, and all areas of the company are taught so that you can have a thriving company. Visit bravosleadership.com and find out more information.
Right. And it stunts the growth. And when I've had first, again, I'm not a doctor. So somebody comes in and says, hey, my child's on 3 different medications, because they're usually on 3, an ADHD, a bipolar, and an antidepressant. And they're 7 freaking years old. And you can look at the child and they're vacant and they're subdued.
Like zombies.
Like zombies. And the parents like, oh, he behaves so well. He's not behaving.
Practically killed him. Right.
Right. And then the other thing about the focus. Well, he can't focus without this drug. With the drug, he focuses. I'm like, have you ever seen somebody high? They can look at a beer bottle and find interest in a beer bottle for 3 hours. That's not focus. That's called drugged. They're like, that's not focus. That's drugs.
Right.
So anyway, these labels or these checklists, they side with the antagonisms of the teacher or of the parent. Because I'll tell you, 4 kids, I'm like, okay, guys, we're going to wash our hands. One of them always says, why do we have to wash our hands? Okay, I have to answer the question. Annoying. And every day I tell my child, brush your teeth. How many times do I say brush your teeth? Until they're like 12 years old and they're interested in girls. That's how long. Now, I can get angry with that, or I just have to say, okay, guys, brush your teeth. Like it's the first time I'm asking. That's how it has to go. But if I write a checklist, all right, does your child require multiple commands to get something done? Oh, yeah, they don't brush their teeth. Oh, they don't make up their bed. Oh, they don't do this. And then the teacher's doing it on their end. The kid is going to get drugged. Nobody ever asked the kid to do a checklist on their teacher or on their parent. No one asks, what's that child's diet?
Right.
Is he eating only processed food, Lunchables, fast food, this, that, the other? Or does he have well-balanced nutrition? Like, is he eating for taste or is he eating for nutrition? How many hours a day does he spend on a device? How much sports does he play? Does his parents say they love him or her? Does the child feel that his existence benefited his mother and his father? Or does he feel like he was a hindrance? That matters. They never ask the child to rate the parent or the teacher. And if we're going to rate the child, which I disagree with, then the child should be able to rate. I think that would be a very interesting project, if you will.
And the questions asked, even if they're slanted towards the teacher, the parent, or against the child or whatever, they're written in such a way as to sort of guide someone in the direction of drugging them, right? Like, do you worry?
Well, and then you have all of these
worry.
labels.
Right.
You have all of these labels. I had a boy who is now an EMT who was drugged at age 4 because he had selective mutism. That's a scientific thing. Selective mutism. Yet we tell our children not to talk to strangers.
For everybody listening, if you're not seeing this video, Barbie's putting these words "scientific mutism" in quotes because they're a freaking joke. There's no such thing.
Yeah, it's a joke.
Okay, but if you're listening on Spotify or something, you're not seeing Barbie. But that scientific mutism is not scientific, and she's if you're watching the video, she's putting it in quotes because we're mocking
it's ridiculous.
We're mocking these labels. Yeah. Okay. So sorry, Barbie.
I'm mocking it. So this 4-year-old selective mutism. And I'm like, what the hell does this mean? And it means that they can talk, but they choose not to. And I'm like, well, that's a human right.
I do that. Yeah.
That's a human right.
Yeah.
You have the right not to speak. And when I asked this kid, he came to my school in high school, and he was so done with the drugs and so done with the traditional school system. And the parents thought they were going to lose him to crime or something. And this is a good kid. This is a great family. Like, these are people you'd want to live next door to you.
Right.
Normal. And I'm like, so where did this come from? He goes, no, the lady that, like, the person interviewing me had a mole on her face, and I didn't like it, so I didn't talk to her. And he's drugged for 9 years.
It's heartbreaking.
Another one was drugged. Part of his thing was he couldn't write his name. He wrote the J backwards. And his art was, I have it in writing, immature in nature. He was 5. And I'm like, I'm not shocked that a 5-year-old has immature artwork. I'm shocked that somebody with a degree is stupid enough to say that out loud or put it in writing, because that's just ridiculous. Like, what are we expecting from a 5-year-old? Also, missing from his psychiatric report or its educational evaluation, which I get all of these. It's about this thick. He was being raised by his grandmother. And I'm like, and it doesn't say why, which I think that that's an important reason why. It also doesn't say if grandma is 99 or if she's 49. Because if you have a 5-year-old boy or a 4-year-old boy, that makes a difference. You know, right. My kids, I was in my 20s when I had my children, so I could stay up with them. You know, I could outrun them, so to speak. If I had 4 children now, who knows what, they'd be out in the city. I don't know, because I couldn't even catch up with them. I'm an older person now.
We have 1 or 2. It's tough. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
And you were doing it, and for all those single moms out there, you were a single mother for a while, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that happened in the middle of homeschooling.
Okay.
Yeah, so, yeah. And I'm not going to stop what I'm doing.
You were a hero, yeah.
Oh, but I don't feel, it's like you do things in life and you're stressed out and this, that, and the other. Like, by the way, in the middle of my divorce, my husband took everything. He took everything out of the bank accounts, the house. I lost everything, and he left. No birthday cards, no nothing. And I'm like, that's a special kind of evil.
Jeez, Barbie.
Whatever.
No kidding. Yeah.
Horrible. Okay. And I go to the doctor, regular checkup, and she's like, oh, so how's your husband? And I'm like, oh, he left. What? He left. And I don't get into the gory details because I'm not going to share. And she goes, do you want something to take the edge off? I'm like, oh my God.
What is that Rolling Stone song? There's a Rolling Stone song, Mother's Little Helper. It's about the antidepressant.
Like, I think I need to keep the edge on. Thank you. I need to keep the edge on because basically everything is on fire right now. And if I subdue myself, it's all going to burn. It's all going to burn. I'm going to lose my school, possibly, lose my kids, put them back in public school. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
So anyway, I made the homeschool. Actually, worst time in my life was when that woman came forward. We helped her daughter and she goes, she didn't even know all the stuff that I was going through. And she's like, all right, we're going to move it. How much do you think it's going to be? And it turned out to be about $125,000. And then we went from, I don't know, 15, 16, 17 kids in my house to like 50, which is about where I am now.
Good for you. That's cool. Yep. All right. Well, Barbie, I hate this. We're about to run out of time, but give me a quick example. Like, I know you have already. Like, Matt, this child came to us. They were telling him to go on drugs. We said, hell no. And right now, they are president of France. Or get any success stories you could give us?
Yeah, I can give you a success story, and then I want to say another thing. I know we're almost out of time.
Okay.
No problem. Yeah, we had a boy that was like, had reaction. His mother was a nurse. He had reactions to the ADHD medication. He was told he would have social anxiety for the rest of his life, and he would never be able to function in relationships. Like, what a thing to say to a teenager. So long story short, he comes to my school. He's smart. We work with him. He joins an improv club, which was safe. It was just the kids in the school at first. He finds out that he can actually perform. He starts a rock band with some students in my school. Again, my school's small. Anyway, he graduated with a 3.6 grade point average. And in 2017, he got his first Grammy.
Wow. Got a Grammy.
Yeah, he got a Grammy. And I don't know that would have happened if he would have stayed on the drugs, or if he would have stayed in school, or if he would have continued with this lie that he would never be able to function in social situations. It's a lie. Okay, so now the thing that I want to flip to is, all right, so.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Barbie. Yes, go for it.
Okay, I wrote a book. It's on Amazon. It's called Enough is Enough: Exposing the Education System After Their Failed Attempt to Label and Drug My Son. Now, this is an expose on the school system. It's a story. It's very easy to read. I write the way I talk. But at the end, I go over a solution, and I truly believe that this is the solution. In order for this solution to go into place, because I am not in the pocket of a pharmaceutical company, I'm not in the pocket of a textbook company that's in bed with the pharmaceutical companies. I've done this with my own family. I've done this with hundreds, if not thousands of children who I've personally worked with. I want to do this on a broader scale. It's going to take money, and it's going to take more than $125,000, right? Because one of the things, I'll show the book again, Enough is Enough. I mean, you might be able to put a visual up.
We'll put a link in the on this posting too, so people can go to it.
Okay, great. So one of the things that I found is, and I'll keep this very quick. 1910, the United States was number one in the world educationally. We were the envy of everybody. And then what happens? Rockefeller brings a psychologist in, and it just all goes to hell. And I write about it. So a few years over COVID, I'm like, okay, what am I going to do here? I have 50 kids. I love the 50 kids, blah, 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 blah. Again, it's not Lamborghini money, but it's something. I want a school building. In Miami, we're talking millions. And I collected 500 old books this one's from 1883. It's a math book. I have phonics. I have arithmetic, the way it was done when we were number one. I want to bring these back to life for homeschoolers, micro schools, and if the public school system decides to get their act together, they could use it. But it's not written for experts. It's written for people like me, that when I started homeschooling, there was bit and piece here and there, but it was bit and piece. I don't want it to be bit and piece. I want reading, writing, math, the way it used to be done when we were number one. And I'm going to bring these things back to life. Again, that's a multi-million dollar endeavor. The way I can do that is I sell enough books. That's one way. That puts me, okay, how am I going to get this done? Sell books. Enough is enough. Buy it, buy a bunch, give them out. Christmas is coming, whatever you're going to do, right? By the way, it's coming out in Spanish. I have a local Cuban actor who we're going to have, it's going to publish, it's going to drop probably in the next month.
Nice.
So that's going to be exciting. Anyway, and then, all right, so book sales is one way. That's the slow way. Or somebody reads it who is a social, intelligent person who can see my vision, who can help me out and say, good, what's it going to take to get this building to turn your post over? How much is it? It's X amount. Good. This is covered now. Now you need a team to build a publishing company. I know nothing about a publishing company, but I didn't know anything about homeschooling or educating kids either at one point. Now I'm considered an expert. So who can then just do it? And that's what I want to do with the rest of my life.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Very admirable, Barbie. I love what you're doing.
You.
I want to contribute more. I want people to hear this and also contribute more. Yet, real quick, Barbie, textbook, this is a whole nother thing we could get into, but the actual writing of the textbooks. I think in your past lecture that I heard, you had mentioned that the same people that put out the textbooks have also started profiting off of the drugging of the children, something like that?
Well, the number one, I write about it.
Okay.
I write about it here. But
Okay.
the number one textbook company in the world is Pearson. And Pearson also has an ADHD research. And if you look at some of these textbooks that the kids read now in school, like people joke about it. Oh, I don't even understand my child's third grade math. Well, that's scary.
It is.
Because you should. It's not funny. I mean, I get that it's a joke, but it's not funny because our definitions have been twisted. The way that we do math, the way we read has been twisted. This here was one of the last phonics books ever to exist, and it was laughed out of existence by the incoming experts, courtesy of Rockefeller. And this is old school phonics. And what's hilarious about it's not even hilarious. Like, look, they did that. Anyone who teaches knows C, CK, and K, they all make the same sound. So back in the day, they used to teach it as one. I had somebody respond just yesterday, well, last week, a podcast that I did on a homeschooling. I did a homeschooling podcast, and this woman reached out to me. She goes, "Can you help me? Do you have any curriculum yet?" And I go, "I don't," but I sent her screenshots of some of the books that I want to bring back. She went on eBay. She found them. Yesterday, we spoke. She goes, "I can't believe this book. It's so simple." Whereas what she's using now, her 10-year-old can't read and isn't interested. And it's a brilliant girl.
Mine.
So I go, because she's been shut down. We don't want them reading. We don't want them doing math. We want them on drugs.
Right. Confused, failing the little test, and then getting
failing, and apathy, and
Right.
driven by a device.
Right.
We're going to change that.
There you go. Yes, you are.
Yes, we
absolutely.
are.
All right. All right. Well, listen, Barbie, it is a pleasure having you on the program. I feel honored to have you here, and I am
Thank you.
me and everybody else, whether they realize it or not, are in debt to you for all that you are doing. So I hope I hope this inspires people, because the first step to doing anything about it is knowing that it is a problem. And I don't think most people know, not the extent of how bad it really is. Not that these idiots are going into schools and trying to pay teachers and stuff to drug children. Like, that is insane to me. That's insane. That's like Nazi Germany type criminality. Like, what the hell? So, but anyway, well, listen, thank you very much for all you do, and thank you for your time, Barbie.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All right, everybody. Well, listen, I hope you've learned something. I hope this information prompts you or motivates you to pay more attention to these types of issues. Watch what your child's doing. Don't put them on drugs. Look for other options. Be aware of the corruption that is taking place so that you're not a victim of it. But anyway, if you have questions about anything, this is Miss Barbie Rivera. We're going to post the information to her book in the comments section below. And I do want you to comment on this video. Let us know if you agree or disagree. Share this, like it, and we'll see you on the next Hines on Air. This program is being sponsored by Law Offices of Matthew C. Hines. The Law Offices of Matthew C. Hines helped all individuals who have been involved in a car accident, who have been injured at work, or have been arrested or given tickets. We make sure your rights are protected and that you receive all the benefits allowed under the law. Visit us at www.hineslaw.org, hineslaw.org. Hines on Air is for you. Remember to subscribe, like, and leave a review whenever you listen to podcasts. Your support helps us reach more people and continue sharing these incredible stories.